Mm-hmm. She is.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
All right, we are having some technical issues. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Ann Makovic. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. We have been monitoring BART problems all morning long. We're going to get to some of that in a minute, but first, look at our weather forecast because it looks like the heat is here to stay for now. Here's meteorologist Jessica Birch.
It's a warm day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs sitting in the 70s and 80s, close to the 90s in some of our inland spots. Let's zoom into the North Bay real fast. We head over into Santa Rosa. We're topping off at 85 degrees today, 80 in Napa, 87 all the way over into Antioch, which is such a contrast compared to our coastal areas. Only sitting in the 50s today in Half Moon Bay, still with sunny skies and some stronger onshore breezes as we head into this afternoon. Speaking of the winds, actually, let's head over to the map real fast. I want to show you just how strong these winds are expected to get. We take a look at our daytime highs today. They're warm, but we're also gearing up for some breezy conditions in our inland spots too, which allows for fire weather conditions once again in areas like Solano County and just throughout the East Bay in general. This is around 5 o'clock tonight. We could get gusts up to around 20, 30 miles per hour, anywhere from San Francisco all the way up into Santa Rosa, and for our friends along the coast near Bodega Bay too. We're going to keep a close eye on that forecast here in the Weather Center heading into the next couple days due to that warm weather and some gusty winds. Like I mentioned, fire weather conditions could be a concern for our inland spots, but at least the relative humidity is starting to increase. That's the reason why the National Weather Service expired that red flag warning yesterday, but we still keep a close eye on this forecast heading into the rest of this week. We're also gearing up for some 70s and 60s along the bay, while the rest of our inland areas are holding on tight to 80s and 70s back and forth as we head into the rest of this week. So sunny skies each day for us this week. Not a drop of rain in sight. We're actually sitting above average for our friends up in the North Bay when it comes to our rainfall totals, but we're sitting below average anywhere from the East Bay into the Santa Clara Valley, and even for our friends in San Francisco too. We'll keep a close eye on that, but for now, back over to you.
Thanks, Jess. We are continuing to monitor the big BART problems that started this morning in the East Bay. Major delays. And here is why. This fire broke out under the tracks at the San Leandro BART station. This is video taken just before 5 a.m. You can see heavy smoke filling the air there and what looks like sparks and debris falling from the tracks. So here is a look at the station now. Most of the fire has been put out and crews are working to clean up the area. This is what it looks like now. Service, though, was stopped between Berryessa, Dublin, and Pleasanton, as well as Lake Merritt. No orange or green line service, and there is limited blue line service right now. BART has confirmed that cables and equipment were damaged in that fire. BART said on X they estimate service will be restored either in the late afternoon or the evening.
We have to acknowledge it's a major impact on our riders. It's definitely not the level of service that we strive to provide. BART is normally very reliable, but we've had these two incidents within a short period of time that, though we believe that they're not related, we're dealing with a fire here, there's still that impact on riders. So we certainly apologize for that inconvenience. We know riders are counting on us.
Today's incident comes less than 2 weeks after BART's system-wide shutdown on May 9th. A computer glitch crippled the entire system during the morning commute, impacting tens of thousands of riders. We're going to continue to follow this. For the latest on the delays, just head to our website, kpix.com. Today marks a new era for the city of Oakland as Barbara Lee is officially sworn in as mayor, and she's making history as the first Black woman in that position. Right now, the city council is meeting to declare the results of the special election, and after that, Lee is expected to be sworn in at noon. She was selected by voters to serve out recalled Mayor Sheng Tao's term. That term ends at the end of next year, and she's done a lot in a short amount of time. There is Oakland's budget deficit that she is now ready to tackle, concerns about public safety, and the challenge of clearing homeless encampments, as well as getting people into housing. Our Katie Nielsen talked with Bishop Bob Jackson. He's a well-known community leader in Oakland who has known Lee throughout her decades of service in Congress, and he told Katie that he has high hopes.
Bishop Bob Jackson has been a pastor in Oakland since the mid-'80s and met Barbara Lee in 1990 when she was running for her seat in the state Senate.
People would not have imagined her being able to accomplish all the things that she's done.
That's because Lee was once a divorced, single mother raising 2 children with the help of public assistance.
You can see how they're growing.
Lee has been sending Christmas cards to Bishop Bob for more than a decade, and it's her understanding of the struggles of the people of Oakland that he says made her uniquely qualified to represent the area in the U.S. House of Representatives.
What in the world is this? Is this America?
She has a boldness about her, and I'm so thankful.
Madam Secretary, you just don't care much about civil rights of Black and brown children. This is horrible.
I think that's a reflection of coming out of Oakland. Straight out of Oakland.
He also points out Lee was the only member of Congress to vote no on the Iraq War after the September 11th attacks.
She stood by herself, and it didn't bother her to stand up for right. And I'm only hoping and praying, which I know in my spirit, she's going to stand up for right for the city of Oakland, and we're going to be amazed at, I believe, what God's going to do with our new mayor.
In his mind, there's only one priority to start Lee's term.
Our biggest problem is public safety. That's what's running people away from the city. That's what's causing the businesses to leave.
He thinks that's the way to help bring people and tax revenue back into the city. And a united front is the only way to do it.
If we all come together, instead of the naysayers standing on the peripheral and throwing rocks, at her, give her a chance. And let's see.
So Barbara Lee is 78 years old. She has not indicated whether she wants to run again when her term is up. Families in San Francisco looking for answers after a fire destroyed part of a playground at an elementary school. It happened late Sunday night at Lafayette Elementary, that is in the outer Richmond, less than a month after another fire tore through a storage container at the school. Our Amanda Harry spoke with families trying to make sense of it.
Playground equipment melted and burned after a late-night fire. Many people stopped by Lafayette Elementary School in the outer Richmond to see it for themselves, including parent Sean Phillips.
I think we're all in disbelief. I mean, why would someone do this?
His son and third grader at the school, Sebastian, echoed his sentiment.
So I kind of feel like, who would do that? There's nothing wrong with the play structure.
What's left on the playground now sits behind a fence, surrounded by caution tape. Sebastian says it made him sad to come to school and see it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And especially for the kindergartners, because they love that thing so much.
San Francisco Fire says calls came in around 10:30 Sunday night. They were able to put the fire out quickly, but not before serious damage was done. Just yards away from the play structure is a burned storage shed. That fire happened in the early hours of May 1st. Lafayette PTA says every item in the container was damaged or destroyed, from sweatshirts to handmade decorations. Investigators are looking into whether either fire was set intentionally. Phillips thinks 2 fires in less than 3 weeks looks suspicious.
It doesn't sound like it was someone trying to stay warm. It sounds like someone just wanted to see something go up and see like what's going on right now. Media reports, people getting upset.
The school sent an email to parents telling them about what happened and the ongoing investigation. School leaders wrote that they're taking the situation seriously. The email went on to say, quote, SFUSD has arranged for a security guard to visit our school every night through the end of the school year to complete an inspection and help ensure the safety of our campus. Lastly, the San Francisco Police Department will make regular patrols of the school overnight. Phillips says that helps, but he still feels unsettled.
I think just that feeling of that intrusion, it's like when someone breaks into your house and does something, you just feel, you know you're safe, the intruder's gone, but you feel invaded.
Today, parents decorated the fence around the playground with some drawings and ribbons to try to make the area look a little bit better for students. Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, families in limbo after the Supreme Court allows the Trump administration to end legal protections for 350,000 Venezuelan immigrants. We're going to hear from a Venezuelan here in the Bay Area who is worried that his own family could be sent packing. Plus, they are a big part of BART's strategy to prevent fare jumpers. But are they working?
I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of gates they have, they still try their way to get in.
What a new study found about BART's new fare gates. And this year's Carnival celebration, spotlighting the diversity of the Latin American community. We are traveling to the South Bay to meet the dance troupe that weaves music, history, and culture.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
It's another warm day for us today in the Bay Area with mid-70s in the forecast today, tomorrow, and then by Thursday and Friday, that's when we finally start to cool down a little bit as we head into this weekend's forecast. The thing is, we're still dealing with dry conditions, though, each day, and that's the case as we head into next week's forecast, too. Dry skies, sunny conditions, warm temperatures, especially off in our inland areas with mid-80s today and tomorrow, creeping down into mid-70s by Friday, heading into our Saturday forecast. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center.
The Supreme Court allowed President Trump to end a program that shields hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans from the threat of deportation. They're losing what is called temporary protected status, which allows them to live and work legally in the United States. Former President Biden granted that status to 350,000 Venezuelans because of the political turmoil in their country. President Trump moved to revoke it earlier this year, but a federal judge in San Francisco blocked the move. Now, the Supreme Court's decision overrules that. Well, the Bay Area is home to thousands of Venezuelan immigrants. Our Lauren Dom spoke with one father who's worried about what this means for his family's future.
Es maravillosa la zona de área de...
This man asked to go by Andres. He's lived in the Bay Area for the last 2 years after leaving Venezuela nearly a decade ago to escape what he calls a political dictatorship. He traveled through South America and eventually obtained permanent residency here in the Bay Area.
I arrived in the United States of America in 2023 as a refugee. It's a marvelous region, the Bay Area.
He asked to keep his identity hidden out of fear that his status could change at any minute. He has permanent residency along with one of his children granted under the Biden administration. But his wife and other child still have temporary protections as they wait for their permanent applications to be accepted. Now they worry their lives could be upended. The Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Trump administration for now to revoke temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans living in the U.S.
I like the United States because it's a country where people work and I like to work. I've been able to move my family forward thanks to my job, thanks to my wife, and I feel very comfortable here. I feel unsure because I don't know what decisions are going to come, especially for us who are permanent residents.
Andres says he's fallen in love with the Bay Area, but he lives in fear not just for himself, but for the greater Venezuelan community, as the ruling could pave the way for deportations.
How are you going to remove protections for people who are honest, hardworking, who have paperwork, and who have their jobs and good morale? It doesn't seem fair to me.
The issue has been in limbo since February, when Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ended an 18-month extension of temporary protected status to Venezuelans. In March, San Francisco-based federal judge Edward Chen blocked the effort, stating that it could harm hundreds of thousands of lives in the U.S. San Francisco and San Jose are home to two of the largest Venezuelan communities in the state. USF law professor Bill Hink says the ruling could have much greater implications beyond just the Venezuelan population.
It sets the precedent for his ability to start terminating all the other TPS groups, and that includes people from Haiti, El Salvador, Ukraine, Honduras, Yemen, Afghanistan, Sudan.
The ruling wasn't surprising, he says, in line with President Trump's immigration agenda, but it's likely the tip of the iceberg.
The issue is a potentially big issue because it can be very disruptive to the communities that these various TPS holders have embedded themselves in for a generation.
For Andres, he's taking each day as it comes.
They're hardworking and honest. We follow the laws, and I feel bad for the Supreme Court's decision. Give them hope. Give them the opportunity to make this country grow and make ourselves grow as a Venezuelan community.
With hopes to see the Venezuelan community protected as permanent residents in the place they now call home.
One note, the ruling does not affect 250,000 other Venezuelans who received temporary protected status in 2021. It also does not apply to 1 million Haitian TPS holders whose status ends in August. That order is also being challenged in court. Police in San Jose launched a new online dashboard that tracks police interactions with homeless people. The city says this provides transparency into its public safety response and helps them figure out the best approach to tackle the homeless crisis. This comes a day after the city cleared out another encampment, displacing about 50 people. Mayor Matt Mahan has been doubling down on tackling homelessness after Governor Newsom encouraged cities and counties to ban encampments. This latest sweep happened between Coleman Avenue and Julian Street near the Target store. People living at that encampment told us they expected the action, but have nowhere else to go for housing.
Honestly, we don't know. We're just gonna drift. We're just gonna drift.
Nobody's been here from housing. Housing has not stepped up and come in and done anything to help any of these unhoused people. People want to get into housing. I know many unhoused people want housing. But has anybody been out here to ask them?
Mayor Mahan issued a statement highlighting the city's efforts to provide shelter for the people displaced. He also cited an attack on a police officer and said the sweep aimed to protect the community. San Jose could become the next Bay Area city to host entertainment zones. City Council taking a vote today. If approved, they would bring outdoor music and events downtown in an effort to breathe more life into the area. The city would be taking a page out of a playbook from its neighbor to the north. San Francisco already has several designated entertainment zones, and Mayor Lurie recently approved 5 more across the city. Well, if you take BART, you've likely come across these fare gates. 32 stations already have them. You'll find them at all 50 BART stations by the end of the year. BART said the multi-million-dollar upgrade would crack down on fare evasion and other crimes. But as John Ramos tells us, a new study finds that is not exactly the case.
BART is installing the fare evasion system for a number of reasons, both economic and for public safety. But the very study that they commissioned says there wasn't a lot of science behind the decision. In 2020, BART asked a nonprofit called the Center for Policing Equity, or CPE, to evaluate how its police interacted with the ridership. Now, with BART spending $90 million in its quest to combat fare evasion as a way of increasing public safety, they paid for a new study. But the results weren't exactly complimentary.
Some folks will say that A plus B equals C. So in this case, not paying the fare will result in loss of income and violence or disorder on the train. Unfortunately, science needs more than that intuitive connection, right? We need a little bit more, and I don't think that's necessarily present. Our findings suggest that it isn't present.
On this day, they were installing the new fare gates at the Pleasant Hill station, and they're already up and running in Lafayette. But the study, released last week, accuses BART of not having an accurate understanding of fare evasion from both a financial and public safety perspective. It concluded, quote, BART's focus on fare evasion recovers minimal revenue, may be addressing an overstated problem, and is not effective at curbing incidents that make riders feel uneasy in the system, end quote. CPE's Vice President Hans Menos says there also doesn't appear to be any clear strategy behind BART's efforts.
An unscientific, not clearly communicated approach that focuses on the idea that fare evaders are A, costing them a lot of money, which we did not find evidence on, and B, creating a lot of crime, which again, we did not find evidence on. So absent of those two approaches, why are they doing this? It remains very unclear.
CPE, which focuses on social justice issues, says the big problem is not the gates, but the stepped-up efforts of BART police in finding or arresting people, often minorities, for evading the fares. Rider Junia Setiawan also sees a difference, but he favors more enforcement.
I still see people forcing themselves through the gates, the new gates at Civic Center. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of gates they have, they still try their way to get in. I think they're better off getting more people in the train, you know, checking tickets or whatnot, or their ambassadors on the train, rather than these gates. I mean, I don't see the point of these gates.
BART refused to go on camera today, but in a statement they said, despite the study findings, they don't plan to change their approach. Quote, these new gates serve as a powerful deterrent against fare evasion, and as a result will reduce the number of interactions between BART PD and would-be fare evaders. We look forward to new fare gates being installed in all 50 BART stations by the end of this year. If BART is concerned about people not paying to ride, they're really not going to like the suggestion of a rider named Irene from Martinez.
My opinion is that there are things that should be free. Housing should be free, food should be free, education should be free, transportation should be free.
That's not how BART sees it, and whether or not there's a scientific connection between fare evasion and bad behavior It's something BART is willing to take on faith.
In the past, BART has claimed it loses $25 million each year to fare evasion, a number the agency has backed away from. BART insists the fare gates are working and says the system saw a 17% drop in crime last year. Still ahead, it is a culture descended from the first free settlement for former slaves in the Western Hemisphere. How people in the Bay Area are keeping their tradition alive through dance.
Nobody knows. We're trying to tell them, hey, we're there, and we proud to be Afro-descendants.
One of the Bay Area's liveliest and most colorful traditions returns this weekend. Carnival is this Sunday in San Francisco, and all week we are going to be introducing you to some of the groups taking part in the big celebration. This year's theme is Afromundo, the African diaspora in the Americas. Len Ramirez introduces us to a dance group that traces its traditions back to revolutionary roots in Mexico.
The color, the joy, the irresistibly friendly faces, and that non-stop dance beat, it's all part of Negritud Yanga, one of the most unique dance groups in the Bay Area, coming soon to Carnival San Francisco. Negritud Yanga is made up of the small but fiercely proud Afro-Mexican community. It includes members like Enrique Guzman and Marta Munoz Diaz, this year's Yanga king and queen who now live on the peninsula in South Bay, but were born in the group's namesake town in Mexico.
When I'm not the king, I work for a construction company in Santa Clara. We're so proud to say, hey, I'm from Yanga.
Yanga is known as the first free settlement for former slaves in the Americas. Named after Gaspar Yanga, an African who led a successful rebellion against his captors, the town was officially recognized by Spain in 1618 as a safe haven for escaped slaves. Today, Yanga in the state of Veracruz is still a thriving community and a symbol of Afro-Mexican heritage and Black resistance.
It's nice to tell people that we're still there and we exist. Nobody knows. We're trying to tell them, hey, we're there, and we proud to be Afro-descendants.
Their Afro-Mexican pride can be seen in the designs of their colorful costumes. Last year was Negritud Yanga's first appearance at Carnival. This year, they'll be joined by a sister dance group filled with friends and family members who will be coming all the way from Yanga in Mexico.
It's going to be bigger, for the Carnival in San Francisco. It's going to be more exciting. We're going to be very happy to see them here. I hope, they can come.
Yanga, primer pueblo libre de América, estará presente en el Carnaval de San Francisco.
The group sent this video postcard to Carnival's organizers, excited to show their presence in Northern California. And the visit fits perfectly into this year's Carnival theme, Afro Mundo.
Desde África llegó la esperanza.
Although only about 2% of Mexico's population is Afro-Mexican, Negritud Yanga is part of a movement that celebrates this identity, culture, and history.
And I'm so proud to be Native and African descendants from Yanga.
And members of the group are reclaiming their heritage and adding their own Afro-Mexican flair to the rich cultural fabric of the Bay Area.
And so much fun. We're going to bring you the Carnival Parade live. Coverage starts at 10 o'clock Sunday morning on Pix Plus, 44 Cable 12, and streaming right here on CBS News Bay Area. Tomorrow is another game day for the Golden State Valkyries, and it looks like one of their coveted players will be making her debut. French star Janelle Ceylon says she expects to play against the Washington Mystics tomorrow night. The 23-year-old forward won a silver medal with France during the Paris Olympics last summer. She's been playing in the EuroLeague, but practiced with the Valkyries yesterday and is getting quickly adjusted to the WNBA. Again, the Valkyries back at Chase Center tomorrow night, taking on the Mystics. Golden State hoping to bounce back from a season-opening loss. Coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. on Pix Plus. And CBS News Bay Area is the home of the Valkyries. More than 30 games airing on KPIX and Pix Plus throughout the season. Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, the global trade wars hitting home.
So you don't know what to do, honestly. I see some of the customers are getting so frustrated, wow, I can't afford it.
We're going to talk to one small business owner in the Bay Area who says the uncertainty over the Trump tariffs is hurting his bottom line. Plus, a local business that is not looking to make a profit.
I don't want any money. I don't need any money.
We're going to take you inside a repair shop fueled by donations and pedal power. Makovic, and this is the Minute. BART says it's going to take hours to restore service in the East Bay after this fire at the San Leandro BART station started at around 5 this morning, and right now there is no service between the Lake Merritt, Berryessa, and Dublin stations. The yellow and red lines not impacted. Today, Barbara Lee will officially become the next mayor of Oakland. The Oakland City Council officially declaring the results of the special election this morning. Back in April, Lee defeated former City Council member Lauren Taylor. She's expected to be sworn in at around noon. And Waymo is expanding in the South Bay. The company just got approval from the state to launch its robo-taxi service in San Jose. Until now, the self-driving vehicles only operated in San Francisco, the Peninsula, and Sunnyvale. No word yet on exactly when we can start booking rides. I'm Ann Makovic with the Minute.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
It's a warm day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs sitting in the 70s and 80s, close to the 90s in some of our inland spots. Let's zoom into the North Bay real fast. We head over into Santa Rosa. We're topping off at 85 degrees today, 80 in Napa, 87 all the way over into Antioch, which is such a contrast compared to our coastal areas. Only sitting in the 50s today in Half Moon Bay, still with sunny skies and some stronger onshore breezes as we head into this afternoon. Speaking of the winds, actually, let's head over to the map real fast. I want to show you just how strong these winds are expected to get. We take a look at our daytime highs today. They're warm, but we're also gearing up for some breezy conditions in our inland spots too, which allows for fire weather conditions once again in areas like Solano County and just throughout the East Bay in general. This is around 5 o'clock tonight. We could get gusts up to around 20, 30 miles per hour, anywhere from San Francisco all the way up into Santa Rosa, and for our friends along the coast near Bodega Bay too. We're going to keep a close eye on that forecast here in the Weather Center. Heading into the next couple days, due to that warm weather and some gusty winds, like I mentioned, fire weather conditions could be a concern for our inland spots, but at least the relative humidity is starting to increase. That's the reason why the National Weather Service expired that red flag warning yesterday, but we still keep a close eye on this forecast heading into the rest of this week. We're also gearing up for some 70s and 60s along the bay, while the rest of our inland areas are holding on tight to 80s and 70s back and forth as we head into the rest of this week. So sunny skies each day for us this week. Not a drop of rain in sight. We're actually sitting above average for our friends up in the North Bay when it comes to our rainfall totals, but we're sitting below average anywhere from the East Bay into the Santa Clara Valley, and even for our friends in San Francisco too. We'll keep a close eye on that, but for now, back over to you.
Even with a temporary reprieve on President Trump's stiffest tariffs on China, a lot of small businesses here in the Bay Area and across the country still feeling the pressure. Those tariffs are hurting business owners who can't afford to suffer through a few bad months. Kenny Choi checked in with some in San Francisco's Chinatown who are trying to adapt to the shifting landscape.
In the wake of Trump's stop-and-go tariff policies, small business owners like Edward Lau are confused about what and when to order from Chinese importers as inventory levels dwindle.
So you don't know what to do, honestly.
Customers continuously ask the herbal medicine store operator when prices will stabilize. He readily admits that's above his pay grade. Since March, Lau has raised prices while absorbing other costs to remain competitive with similar stores in San Francisco's Chinatown.
I would say that 10 to 20% at least, some of the product, But for most of our items, we still are selling, at a price that we pay for before the tariff.
Lau remains anxious, even though tariffs are significantly lower than the previous 145% hike. A decision to purchase too little now could hurt his bottom line if tariffs ramp up again later this year.
Once you show out, you have to stock up, So the price we are getting, a lot of time, is much, higher than what we are selling for.
Further up the supply chain from Lau, operators of bonded warehouses where imported goods can be stored without paying duties until they are removed have seen immediate changes since the tariff pause.
Are you getting calls about, hey, we'd like to take stuff out now?
Yeah, so we did notice an immediate shift.
Francisco Garcia, the founder of Lynx Logistics, says requests to remove goods have started. Container tracking software provider Vizion also says U.S. container bookings from China surged nearly 300% soon after the announcement. But Garcia says many of the larger companies he works with are still asking for long-term bonded storage.
The big players, the big forwarders and the big direct shippers, are actually asking for more space because these next 90 days are very uncertain.
Uncertainty for a small player in the supply chain like Lau keeps him twisting in the wind as he sees the hardship it has created every day.
I see some of the customers are getting so frustrated, wow, I can't afford it.
Even his son has asked whether running a small store is worth it.
He's told me that, I don't see any future in US, even though he was born here. So it makes me even more nervous now.
What is certain is the anxiety Lau is dealing with at the bottom of the supply chain in the midst of a global trade war.
You can expect higher prices at Walmart as soon as this month. The retail giant is warning it is not immune from President Trump's tariffs and says it does plan to raise prices on some things. President Trump responded on a Truth Social post telling the retail giant to just eat the tariffs and not charge customers. The city of San Francisco has a strong community of cyclists, and there is one shop in particular that is hoping to get more riders in the saddle by fixing broken bikes practically for free. Kara St. Cyr takes us to the Scenic Routes Bike Center.
All right, I'm gonna grab a bike real quick here.
What started out as a pandemic-era joke
There's a lot of stuff back here.
morphed into a full-time repair shop.
I am looking at this Raleigh, which its problem is primarily a post-crash assessment. So I'm gonna go through it and make sure it's safe.
Jay Beeman takes old bikes and fixes them up. He uses borrowed equipment and donated tools. Anything he can get his hands on, really.
Because I was on Twitter, people were saying, oh, there's a shortage, there's this bike shortage. And I was like, there's not a bike shortage. There are literally 100,000 bikes in garages within a mile from me, just languishing, not being used. All you need to do is fix up the bike you already have.
So he did, and Scenic Routes Community Bike Center was born. But there's a catch.
I don't want any money. I don't need any money.
Jay does all of this for virtually nothing in return. His shop is what he calls anti-profit, which means exactly what it sounds like. Jay runs his business without the goal of making money.
I just need to make whatever I can make.
He's able to do it through a network of cyclists that make donations in exchange for repairs.
So this person came in here like full of like fear and anxiety, and now I get to be like, dude, your bike's great.
All of the money goes back into the shop and staff. The goal is to have nothing left over, no excess. Last year, he made $61,000 total.
That's plenty for what I need.
But to Jay, it's worth it. The give and take aspect of this shop promotes community. He teaches repair classes on Thursday nights, rents bikes out to new riders.
So what we really try to do is really slow down and be like, this is what's happening. This is how your bicycle works. This is why it makes that noise. This is why it doesn't matter.
And keeps folks coming back with a smile. That's why Paul Bray started working here.
Bike shops can be not very inclusive. And yeah, I was always struck by the way it's such a welcoming environment.
And the environment often returns the love. On his birthday, riders came out to celebrate with a night trek to Twin Peaks.
We will ride to the bottom and have tea and cake there.
So whether it's a broken wheel or a seat that doesn't sit just right, Jay will fix it. Because it's not about him. It's about the community.
Let's go ride our bikes.
And that's worth more than money can buy.
Pretty amazing. Now, Scenic Routes does accept donations. You can also support them by buying a monthly membership, their sweatshirts, or other merch. Coming up next, we are going to introduce you to a prize-winning photographer trying to shine a spotlight on a dark chapter in American history.
My grandparents, my aunt, and my dad, he's 14.
How an old photo of a Bay Area family provided the inspiration for a powerful exhibit in the East Bay.
In the Bay Area, a new WNBA franchise is taking flight. Catch this first-in-a-lifetime inaugural season as the Golden State Valkyries play live on KPIX and Pix Plus.
It's another warm day for us today in the Bay Area with mid-70s in the forecast today, tomorrow, and then by Thursday and Friday, that's when we finally start to cool down a little bit as we head into this weekend's forecast. The thing is, we're still dealing with dry conditions, though, each day, and that's the case as we head into next week's forecast, too. Dry skies, sunny conditions, warm temperatures, especially off in our inland areas with mid-80s today and tomorrow, creeping down into mid-70s by Friday, heading into our Saturday forecast. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center.
83 years after the start of World War II, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, sealing the fate of more than 120,000 Japanese Americans living on the West Coast. Families were rounded up and imprisoned into one of 10 internment camps built across the country. Their only crime is that they looked like the enemy. Today, a photo exhibit in Emeryville is looking to recreate the story of what Japanese Americans went through in 1942. Ryan Yamamoto caught up with the Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer and a woman from Albany who was born in the camps. They both say they want to make sure no one else has to experience the same indignity.
I was shocked and saddened.
Satsuki Ina remembers the day when she discovered an historic photo of her father from 1942.
And even though the image of my dad is a little blurred, I recognized him right away.
The photo shows her father inside a jail at the Tule Lake internment camp, where nearly 19,000 of the 120,000 Japanese Americans taken from their homes were imprisoned during World War II.
I didn't know he was ever in the jail.
A jail she had a chance to visit. The side-by-side photos showing her standing and thinking inside her father's actual cell.
Just took some time to reflect on what it must have been like for him to be separated from his family, not knowing how long he's going to be gone or where he was going to be sent to.
The image of Satsuki, taken by Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer Paul Kitagaki Jr., whose project and research began after he discovered a photo of his own family taken in Oakland before they were about to board a bus and sent to the internment camp in Topaz, Utah.
My grandparents, my aunt, and my dad, he's 14. I just couldn't believe they were in this. I mean, I looked at my dad, he's wearing these jeans with these rolled up cuffs on his jeans. He's just sitting there really looking like, what the heck is going on?
Paul recreating the moment with a stoic photo of his father and aunt outside of the Oakland building where the original photo was taken.
Just standing in that same spot and just thinking back in 1942, their whole life had been blown up.
The full exhibit, called Gambate, has traveled the country since 2012, featuring more than 61 pairs of photos that he has curated since 2005.
This was a tough one.
One of the most iconic pairing of photos, an historic picture of these three young Boy Scouts saluting the flag at the Heart Mountain internment camp in Wyoming.
I like the symbolism of them. They're Boy Scouts. They're saluting the flag every morning and lowering the flag, showing respect to the United States of America. And here they are, locked behind barbed wire. It's just such a shameful part of American history.
It is a part of history Satsuki Ina has written about in a book documenting her family's journey, and now travels the country speaking about the links of the Japanese American experience to what is happening today with other immigrant groups.
It's the same rationale that's being used today to do mass roundup and detention of asylum seekers and other immigrants.
Her goal, to keep telling her story that all began 83 years ago with the signing of an executive order, now with the hopes that history does not repeat itself.
It wasn't until 1988 that the federal government would formally acknowledge and apologize for the treatment of Japanese Americans. You can find all of our stories for AAPI Heritage Month on our website, kpix.com, and be sure to watch our special Legacy and Leadership. That's this Thursday at 7:30 and then May 24th at 7 p.m. Coming up, it is more than old-fashioned. It's downright medieval. We're going to dust off our court jester costume and travel back in time.
Long live the King and Queen of the West!
An inside look at how this society is reliving the 17th century. Well, before cosplay, there was the Society for Creative Anarchism, the group now celebrating its 60th anniversary. And it all started in a backyard in Berkeley, sparking a worldwide movement dedicated to living history. Our Itai Han suited up to see why.
Salt to bind us together, apple sweet to the core.
In a scenic meadow just beyond Cloverdale, California, lies a kingdom you won't find on any map.
Long live the king and queen of the West!
There's a king and a queen, and thousands of subjects living like the Middle Ages never went out of style.
So you're gonna go like this?
And speaking of style, the outfits are as hard to get into as they are to pull off.
Why dress up in medieval clothing and live like this? It's fun. I can't put it any other way.
Monday through Friday, Marcus Powell Ford is a 25-year-old biologist. But on weekends, he becomes Javier Miguel Castillo de Guzman, Master of Defense for the Kingdom of the West.
Ultimately, the goal is to learn a little bit more about what it would have actually been like to live in period.
Welcome to the Society for Creative Anachronism, or SCA for short, a global fellowship dedicated to reliving the Middle Ages, minus, of course, the plague and poor plumbing.
The bathrooms are not 17th century. No.
From food prepared from medieval recipes to hand-stitched embroidery, everything here predates the 1600s. Well, almost everything. Unlike a Renaissance fair, you won't find anyone selling turkey legs or trinkets here. It's more immersion than entertainment. The SEA, which started in 1966 in Berkeley, now spans more than 20 kingdoms and 50,000 participants worldwide. Each kingdom has its own customs, titles, and royalty, with new monarchs chosen at every major gathering. We met King Sigefrith moments after he was crowned, so we had to ask.
Do I have to bow to you? You do not have to bow to me, no. It's customary, though.
The main event of the weekend, a fencing tournament, medieval style. Marcus, fighting as Javier Miguel Castillo de Guzman, advances round after round. By day's end, he's crowned champion. Is it a big honor?
It is a big honor.
The title is his, at least until next year, when someone else takes a stab at it.
Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.